And we welcome all of you to the event with Scott Ferris and Dave Ramsey. We are just a few moments away from coming in, so make sure that I see Marissa there, and I see Catherine and Megan and Wayne and Russell. So I want to make sure. Hello, Jim. How are you? And just want to welcome you all. We are just a couple of minutes from starting with our event with Scott Ferris, who is the well, we like to say he's the guru of Dave Ramsey, but he's got a special panel here today. We've got a title company, Chicago Title, with Corinne Bond will be here. Michael Goff, who we call him the director of first impressions for Dave Ramsey. A number of you have probably talked to him before, and Gina Baker as well from Alderis Mortgage. Thank you so much for being here as well today. And Scott, while we give folks just a couple of minutes to get on, and why did you decide to put this event together for the likes of, I see Jim out there and Marissa and Catherine and those? What made you say, you know what, I think I'm gonna do something like this?
Hey, Dave, first of all, thanks a lot for being here to everybody. And reason we decided to do this is we field a lot of questions from our clients, and there was a lot of uncertainty in the voices that I was talking to. What's going on? What do we do about if I want to sell a home, if I want to buy a home? What do we need to do? And so we just decided to put this together so that everybody could get their questions answered and have the best information available right now. And so as a service-driven company, I just made the decision that was going to be what we wanted to do for our clients.
For those of you that are just joining, Scott is the owner of Icon Realty, and he's also the endorsed provider, the local provider here in Las Vegas and Henderson for the Dave Ramsey Real Estate Show. He's the #1 realtor in the region for Mr. Ramsey. Top 5 nationally. What kind of guy is Dave Ramsey? Is he nice as he seems to be out there? I mean, he is the guru of financial peace.
He is. No, actually, the cool thing about Dave is that he is exactly, if you listen to him at all, you probably have an image in your head of how he would be to be around, to hang out with. And he's exactly like that. The man has no pretense whatsoever. I've actually been blessed enough I've been to his home, and I mean, he just invited me in like he knew me for 20 years. So he's a great guy. And all the people associated with him are just phenomenal people. So I can't say enough about that.
By the way, one of our folks today, you are going to have an opportunity to win this barbecue. So we always ask kind of where you're at in your baby steps with Dave Ramsey. So we're hoping if you were to say, hey, I'm in that first baby step with Dave Ramsey and I got to get $1,000 emergency fund, Scott, we're hoping they're not going to put the barbecue on eBay or something like that, but it would certainly be a nice thing for them, wouldn't it?
Whatever it takes. Yeah, absolutely. No, we just want to give back in time for summer, just to have a little joy for the summer, I think is a good thing. And we just, want to help with that.
And wherever you are in your baby steps, whether it's $1,000, an emergency fund, you're starting to pay off your debt, you're getting the 3 to 6 month of expenses taken care of. You can go down the list of 1 through 7, but in a time like this that is unusual, we've never seen this before. You see the importance of that. And Scott's mission today is to help reinforce the Dave Ramsey principles and with real estate. But we want to acknowledge, we see Fausto's out there, Wendy R. Want to say hi to Wendy R. Wayne J, Tony H, Russell, glad to have you on there. Marissa, who's a family member. Marissa, thank you so much for coming on. Lucina is out there. Jennifer, so a number of you are out there and on the webinar, and this is the Dave Ramsey Roundtable for Real Estate Roundup with Scott Ferris and a number of folks that are here today. And let's start it off real quick as we kind of launch through the baby steps and see where we are with the man that put all this together. And as we mentioned with Scott Ferris. And Scott, I guess the first question is, where do you see in terms of, I guess the only thing I can go back to is 2008. Is this going to be like 2008, or what do you see going on?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Dave. Yeah, no, not at all. It's not going to be like 2008, and there's a lot of reasons why, and I'll try to jam through those quickly. the main reason is that last time, 2008, real estate caused the collapse of the economy. In this case, real estate was very healthy going into this pandemic, and certainly didn't cause the economic situation that the country's facing. There's some other reasons behind it too. Right now, as opposed to 2008, homeowners across the country are sitting on something like $19 trillion worth of equity in their homes. So they're not likely to become in distress, let those go. There's a tremendously low amount of inventory right now. So there's only about a 2.5 month supply of homes on the market. That's a low amount. And then, we've got historically low interest rates right now. There's just a lot of factors involved, but I can confidently say that this is definitely not 2008.
And Scott, I guess the overall snapshot right now, let's put Henderson in there because a lot of our folks here have asked about Henderson, Las Vegas and Henderson. You feel pretty good about, I guess I'll just ask you, you're out there. What are you seeing in those two markets?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Henderson is thriving as well. Believe it or not, the market has just been crazy the last few weeks. We've put several $1 million of homes into escrow just in the last couple of weeks. So it's been incredibly busy, and we've had some folks that have had a tough time. They got furloughed from their job, or they lost their job, and we feel for them. But overall, fortunately, with the market, it's been good in terms of the strength of the market has stayed strong. The numbers are telling. I think we see a tremendous jump in listings just since the beginning of May, as opposed to April, and so consumer confidence seems to be really high right now. That's what we're seeing, and so I'm excited about that.
Well, that's a great harbinger, a dovetail into our next guest, Corinne Bond. She joins us from Chicago Title of Nevada. She's here in Las Vegas. Corinne works, I guess, Corinne, I always like your enthusiasm, and you certainly think outside of the box, and your mission is to provide the best customer service. Corinne, what are the Las Vegas Valley market conditions? What are you seeing out there?
Well, just to welcome everyone, and thank you. Just to kind of piggyback on what Scott just mentioned, consumer confidence is definitely up. As I look at the 30-day trend, I'm actually seeing a strong pickup, not just on our listings, but our closings in May. So there might be a little bit of a bump up on days on market, but that's not a concern at all. What we are seeing though is just a healthy maintaining the appreciation. And like I said, in April, when I look at my report here, we had just over 700 new properties come on the market. Just recently, we had almost 1,000 in May for 1 week. So that's great news for us in the real estate industry. Because our investments are still strong. So that's pretty much what's happening as it relates to the trends that I'm seeing on activity.
Corinne, my folks are getting ready to do a closing, and one of the things we worry about COVID, we simply don't know what we don't know. You're telling me that your company is changing with the times, maybe even better with video as far as signing, and you've got a name for this new tool so that we're safe even through the signing. Tell us more.
Absolutely. So here, and this is the thing, we are going to have a new normal. We're aware of that. So some of the precautions that Chicago Title is doing to ensure that everyone is comfortable coming into our office, or if they don't want to come to our office, there's a new certification on notarials, which is a remote online notarial. And what that allows is the homeowner to stay in their home and do a video notary. So it's still considered a wet signature is what we would call it. There are some stipulations. You do need to be a U.S. citizen. You do need to have equipment to be able to do the video. That sounds intimidating, but all that means is make sure you have a phone. because all our smartphones do video. But we are seeing more and more people utilize that service, and quite honestly, there's a lot of stuff that's moving into the virtual space, and I really believe what we call RON, remote online notarials. I think that regardless what the future holds, I think this is going to be a highly used platform. It's actually more affordable than a mobile notary. So.
Outstanding, Corinne. And we'll get back and ask more questions. And we want to acknowledge all the folks and welcome again as we come to the Dave Ramsey event. And it is the Dave Ramsey, I call it the Real Estate Roundup, featured by Scott Ferris, who is #1 in the region. And we always say he is the guy that Dave Ramsey recommends. And a number of you are asking questions about, you know, how important are the baby steps and how do we get to those? Lucia asked that, and another person asked the question as well. And of course, it's important to begin that step. Simply go to daveramsey.com. You can look at those. And of course, the first baby step is getting that $1,000 emergency fund. And speaking of that guy is Michael Goff. And when we say that guy, Michael is here in Vegas and Henderson. Michael's considered as I told you before, the director of First Impressions for Icon Realty, and Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider with Scott Ferris. Let's chance to talk to most of you today. You've probably heard, or Mr. Goff's called you, and he prides himself. Tell us about this, Michael, the extra mile. You make those phone calls back in 24 hours or less. I always say 24 minutes or less. But as a buyer, Michael, why is now the time?
Yeah, well, assisting with Scott with a lot of help for, and potentially as with buyers. We always strive at what's best for the client and for what they need to do and what's best for them. So usually I always try to get a hold of them, let them know that we're certainly available. We're easy to communicate with. You directly communicate with Scott or I, and we always have pretty much have our phones available for most of the time, other than when my wife, who's on the call, she makes me put it down for dinner time. But other than that, you're always welcome to give us a call anytime.
Sure. And what do you tell people, Michael, in this uncertain time? I see Fausto, Marissa, Jim, Wendy's out there, Catherine, a number of folks, and they ask the question, you know, you call them back and they say, should I list? Is now the time to list? Or is now the time, in particular, you're the guru when it comes to buying? What are you telling people?
Absolutely. It's a great time. You know, homes priced well do sell very quickly. As Scott may have mentioned, you know, our inventory of homes is low. We're starting to pick up those. We're going to have a few more listings coming up in the next couple of weeks, but we expect to do what we do best and get them marketed as well as we do. We love getting exposure out for our properties the best we can, and I think we're pretty much one of the top in the market to get your home marketed and out there and get as many eyes on that as possible.
Michael Goff, we appreciate that. We'll come back to you for more. And remember, if you have a question, scroll to the bottom of your screen and there's a little chat box and you'll just see chat. And Jim, if you see that down there, Marissa, Tony, Wendy, Victoria, Catherine, Megan's out there. I see Russell just got on. Jennifer, want to say hi to you. A number of folks. You can just scroll to the very bottom if you have a question for our expert panel here, and we can answer those questions as quickly and as much time as we have for. And speaking of our expert panel, we're going to introduce Gina Baker of Aldaris Mortgage. She's the Chief Sales Officer, and since 2005, she has been a principal owner and partner at Aldaris here in Las Vegas. And Gina has been one of the most prominent figures in the mortgage industry for nearly 2 decades, and here in Las Vegas and in Henderson as well. And Gina, I guess whenever we talk to folks on the mortgage side, our first question has to be about the rates and where are we at with the rates. So tell us a little bit about what interest rates are doing right now.
You bet. Good morning, Dave. Thanks so much for the opportunity to share this great information with everybody. Interest rates are amazing. They are at historical lows. We are seeing a ton of activity both on the purchase and the refinance side. There have been a few changes, but all in all, everything's very, very strong, and we've got great opportunities out there for people to get into a little more house than perhaps they could have several months ago because of rates, or be able to refinance the loan that they currently have, perhaps pull out some money to help with a difficult time and take advantage of amazing rates. So definitely got a great rate environment, and there is prediction that we will continue to see this throughout all of 2020 and likely into the first quarter of 2021.
Gina, what's the biggest change that you see as far as whether I could, I've already been talking with you about a mortgage loan and maybe something's happened with my employment, or just basically with the COVID-19, what, as our listeners and viewers today in terms of mortgage, what would be something you'd say, make sure you're aware of this? It's better to get that. I always say bad news isn't like wine. It doesn't get better with time, but what is the good news, or what do we need to be aware of?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, probably the fact that there are things out there to help people that are having difficulty making their mortgage payments. There's a lot of talk out there about forbearance, but I think if I could tell everybody the one very most important thing to remember is do your research and speak to a professional. Don't assume that the information that you're seeing on the media is accurate. Don't assume that the little short clips that you see on social media is accurate. You really need to take a deep dive and figure out how the decisions you're making are going to impact you. So that's the very, very most important thing. You've got to do your research. You need to be sure you fully understand what you're doing if you're going to be doing forbearance or you're going to be refinancing or whatever the case may be.
We want to reach out to one of the questions. Kay Smith reached out and said, since we put our house on the market in February, Corona had just begun. An excellent question. The days on the market seem to be stretching out. We've had very little interest. Back to getting Scott Ferris the correct information. I read somewhere that you might be able to adjust that number. I guess whether you're in the market or you're on the fence about buying or selling, and you're wondering about days on the market. Scott, what's your advice to our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, so there's really not a technical way to adjust the days on the market. However, the best way to combat that is simply to price your home appropriately. Homes that are priced appropriately are selling very quickly in the market right now. So, talk with your advisor, your real estate advisor, and try to heed their advice as best you can. And if you're able to do that, I think you're going to be successful right now.
Yeah. Scott, Clark County, if it opens up quickly, and this is from Megan that reached out, and she said, what do you see in 6 months, 1 to 2 years? Just kind of your snapshot, whether it be foreclosures, more inventory. Should we wait and see? What are your thoughts on that?
Great question, Megan. I think that, in the immediate future here, things are going to be, there's, been a pent up demand, I think, since the coronavirus hit. Things are going to be busy, but I really don't see we're not getting any indications really that there's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming to the market, a lot of short sales. And the reason is, I think, because homeowners in general right now have a lot of equity in their homes. And so they're not going to part with that equity if they can help it. So we're not anticipating a lot of short sales or foreclosures. I imagine there will be some that come up in the next few months, but we're not anticipating a lot of those coming on. As far as if you're on the fence, one of the things is right now interest rates are so low. Even if you were to wait and prices were to somehow go down a little bit, say a year from now, which I don't think will happen anyway, you very well could be paying a higher interest rate, and so it would be a wash. So we're telling people it's really not a good idea to wait. I think you could miss out on some great interest rates. They can't stay this low forever. And so I think that's important. And I think the market is healthy, and I don't think that we're going to be facing a foreclosure crisis or a short sale glut anytime soon.
Michael, one of the questions Russell has just asked, and Michael said, are there price ranges that are better and also harder to sell at right now? Is it wide open? And Corinne, I'll ask you the same question, but Michael, kind of start out with what you're seeing price ranges, or does it matter?
Yeah, price always does matter. As you get above the $400,000 price range, you do get a more limited amount of potential buyers. But we work every deal that we have and with our clients and transactions as hard as we can. We were, successful to close a property that was close to $1 million through the coronavirus just last week. So we definitely have the tools to get what people need. Obviously, there's, as you get in lower price points, there is going to be a little bit more competition in those homes under $400,000. And, we've seen homes sell as quick as in one day if they're priced right. But, everyone else, our clients has a little bit different prerogative what they want to, their approach. And we certainly take that in consideration and work along with them so that they're comfortable along the way. And ultimately, to get them as most money in the pocket as possible at the very end of the transaction.
Corinne, how about from the title company side in terms of what you see? Is it critical? If you say, hey, I'm 5,000 here or I'm 5,000 there, what typically are you seeing, Corinne?
Exactly what Michael said. I mean, the properties that are closing are the properties that are priced correctly. Comps don't lie. And the industry dictates pretty much that price point. And Scott's amazing at really kind of laying it out as to what is the right price for each home. But yeah, on our side, we definitely see that. And we do the reports all day long on price per square foot. And the ones that are closing are consistently in the range that they need to be in. So.
Outstanding. And Scott, you'd made a comment about the mortgage and the interest rates. And Gina, I know we always say they can't stay this low forever. What are your thoughts on that, Gina, from the mortgage expert in terms of, do we say, hey, I hope they go lower and lower? And nobody really knows, but in terms of Alderis Mortgage and your team, what's your thoughts on that?
You bet, absolutely. So I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of movement downward in terms of interest rates. We may see little pockets where they're going to dip a little bit further than they are now, but we are so very, very low right now. There's just not a lot of room in the market for them to go lower. But there is opportunity for them to stay relatively low for quite a while. And that's going to make a lot of people, or rather I should say, give a lot of people an opportunity to perhaps buy a little more than they would have otherwise. And this is still a great environment to be able to do that in a city that's going to continue to boom. So it absolutely is going to be a great opportunity for a long, long time here.
Well, Scott, as we come towards the tail end, and again, I want to make sure we get everybody's questions in. Don't forget, you can just put those via chat. Victoria asks a question. I'm not sure who she's related to, but what can I do to get my favorite realtor to shave his beard off? I think it would be to get somebody to buy a home or list a home. We would be willing to do that. I'm not sure if she's picking up me or you, Scott, but Scott, tell us how you're doing, your family and your kids. We're all, whether I see Marissa or Jim out there, Luciana, Catherine, all the folks, Jennifer, Russell, and again, we're getting ready to give that barbecue, but we're all in this together. How's the Ferris family faring?
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, I mean, we're blessed. We're doing well. I've discovered I wasn't a very good homeschool teacher, but fortunately for my kids, my wife was. And so we've been very fortunate and blessed. We've reached out to a lot of our clients just to see if they, real estate aside, if they need anything. We've just tried to be a resource for people just in general throughout this whole crisis, and we want to just continue to be there for our clients and friends in any way that we can, real estate or not.
Scott, I think that as we get ready to wrap up here, I think that's your final message is if somebody says, I'm not really sure, or I don't know what to do, your motto has always been, hey, we're the go-to for the Dave Ramsey Realty. And that means even if it's asking a question, and I see we've got a couple of questions here jumping in. We'll try to squeeze those in before we get to the bottom of the hour. But Scott, that's your message is we are here for you.
Absolutely, Dave. We pride ourselves on being a resource for our clients. before the sale and after the, and afterwards. We call it, when we have our company party every year in October, it's the Icon Family Reunion is what we call it, and we try to hold to that because, like you said, we're in this thing together, and we just want to be there as a resource for everybody that we can help in whatever way possible. So we're very accessible. So I would just say, call or text me anytime. I'm always available.
All right. Fausto, I see you do have a question. You did take your hat off. By the way, Fausto votes don't
I love
shave.
the hat, Fausto.
Yeah, outstanding. Gina, we're going to send this your direction. Fausto says, I was looking to get a HELOC. Is that something to do right now, and a possible refinance? And keep in mind, Fausto says he's been furloughed, but he's still paying on his mortgage. So Gina, I know there's a couple of questions packaged in there, but what would you suggest here in our final couple minutes?
You bet, absolutely. So in order to answer your first question regarding a HELOC, yes, there are some opportunities, and I want to stress some, because many of the home equity line of credit programs have been temporarily pulled, meaning they're suspended. They will come back, but right now they are very risky, and most of the banks have pulled those, except in conjunction with a first lien position for a purchase transaction only. One thing that you did mention that I think is really important is that he has currently been furloughed. So I want to just mention a couple of things around income that your viewers might want to know. If you are furloughed or collecting unemployment, that income cannot be used to qualify. So if you are using income as opposed to, say, asset, using, say, asset depletion or something like that, if you are using forward income to qualify, that is the traditional way most people qualify, you will have to wait until unemployment until you're back to work and your unemployment is over, or if you've been furloughed, until you've been brought back on full time. So those are things that are important to know. You would have to wait until you've gone back to work.
All right, Gina and Fausto, you got a great answer there. So Gina, thank you for bringing so much value. Corinne, as we get ready to wrap up in our incredible day that we've had here in morning, tell folks if they want to reach out to you, and if there's a specific question they have. It could be title insurance, whatever that might be, or just a kind of calm in the market, or even how to do a virtual signing. How do they get a hold of you, Corinne?
Absolutely. So you have my email and phone number right on the screen there. It is corinne.bond@ctt.com. And then, or you could text or call me at 702-290-7262. And I just want to add that whether you're going to the branch or whether you choose to do a RON signing, in every circumstance, we're taking every single precaution to make sure that the environment is safe. So, like I said, it may be our new normal, and we are 100% prepared.
Corinne, thank you so much. And Michael, what's the best way if folks want to get a hold of the director of First Impression, or I like to call you the verbal mortar between the bricks of knowledge when it comes to Dave Ramsey Real Estate?
702-301-9602, always available.
All right. And a particular thought you want to leave home buyers with today?
People are still out there looking at homes. We've got plenty of appointments lined up, and probably I think once we get into June, July, people are definitely going to be out there looking at homes. So, it's a little bit different environment. Some sellers require you to wear booties, face masks. It's pretty much up to the sellers themselves, but we're always here to support the best and safest environment we can for our clients. So always out there with gloves, masks that we have for our clients, hand sanitizer, and we certainly make sure that we take every opportunity to be safe, but definitely people are out there still looking at homes.
Thank you, Michael, and stay safe. As you can see, Michael's working from home. And Gina, I must say, of all of the bakers in your organization, you are definitely my favorite, the terrific triumvirate of the bakers. Gina's my favorite. Gina, how can folks get a hold of your team at Alderis Mortgage?
You bet. So email gina@alderis.net. Telephone isn't on the screen, but I'll give it here, 702-255-5784. And I just want to leave one last little thought here. There's always a lot of questions, even under normal circumstances, around financing a very, very large sum of money. And I want to invite everybody just to think of me as a resource, even if I'm not your lender, even if you don't intend on using me for a loan. I want to be able to answer those really important questions for you. There's a lot of really confusing information going on. Please think of me as a resource and reach out to me before you make any decisions. I want to help you understand how those are going to impact you.
Wow, Gina, thank you so much. And the reservoir of knowledge, what you have for us is outstanding. And Scott, what a team that you've put together for all of our Dave Ramsey folks. We always say adding value means you're better off after you met with someone than before. And I feel like after they've been on this webinar, if we didn't answer a question, they know how to reach out to all of them, including you. And Scott, you're one of the guys that says, here's my cell number. How do they reach out to you, Scott?
Yeah, that's right. Cell number is easiest. You know, I'm accessible. Call me, text me. If I happen to miss you, I'll get right back to you. And you know, I'm just blessed to have a great group of people around me, and wonderful clients and friends that we work with. So you know, we just want to keep that going, and you know, continue the success that way. And thanks for putting about a 10 or 15-year-old picture of me up there too, Dave. My hairline's gone back about an inch from there, but I'll take it for now.
Outstanding. Well, we want to more important thank all of you. Gina, I want to reinforce your number, and we've sent that out to everybody, 702-255-5784. All these folks were able to get to. And Jennifer, we appreciate you. Thank you. All questions I had were answered on this call, Fausto. Okay, so now, Scott, I don't know if we do some version of a drum roll, but I did have a couple of folks that said, hey, don't forget about one of the most important parts, and that's the new barbecue that we're getting ready to give away. So I don't know if you picked that up or Michael, but we're going to give that away today. Michael, tell us about the barbecue.
It's a great little unit. It's got double burners and great for transport. I've had one myself. We've used it around for the home and for camping. So it's nice, portable. You can use it for home, camping, and it'll make some yummy dinners.
Nice.
All right. So we narrowed it down, folks, while we were doing this. Jim, thank you for the notes. A lot of people are sending in notes. Gina Fausto said, thank you. Jim, thanks for the great information. Gina, we appreciate you. The barbecue, and I'm going to reach in here, all the names that are on there. We're doing this electronic, but is Megan Perry. So Megan, I think Megan's out there today. So Megan, I'm going to just for fun unmute you. I think you're there. And Megan, I'll just see if we can hear you. Megan, are you out there today?
I'm here. I'm excited. Thank you.
Oh, awesome.
Megan.
Congratulations, Megan.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So reach out to Scott. You've got his number. We'll make that possible. Megan, what might you say is one of your takeaways today, or if you were to tell friends about Scott Ferris, Corinne Bond, Michael Goff, or Gina Baker as far as being on the call today? Did we add value to you?
Absolutely. I appreciate being willing to answer any questions that I have, whether, you know, I work with you or not. I appreciate you reaching out and letting us ask questions. So thank you.
All right, Megan, thank you and congratulations. And Scott, you end us up here. Scott Ferris of Icon Realty, and like Dave Ramsey always said, better than we deserve, and focus on your baby steps. That first one, get that emergency fund, that $1,000, and then work with the area provider for Dave Ramsey when it comes to buying a home. But Scott, wrap us up today and tell everybody so long.
Yep. Thank you guys, everybody so much for coming on, and we appreciate everybody. And just like I said, we want to be a resource for you. Don't hesitate to call us, and stay safe.
Outstanding. Marissa, Tony, Luciana, Jim, Wayne, Russell, Catherine, Victoria, Jennifer, all of you folks, thanks so much. Corinne Bond, appreciate your expertise from Chicago Title. Gina Baker from Alderis Mortgage, and Michael and Scott, thank you so much for taking such great care of us at Icon Realty. And we will see you all down the road. And again, stay safe. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.